Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're really getting into something that trips up so many people learning Spanish, those past tenses, right? If you've ever just stopped thinking, wait, is it fui or iba? He comido or comí? Well, you're in the right place. Our whole mission today is to, cut through that confusion. We want to give you a really clear, confident way to talk about the past in Spanish wherever you are in your learning. And we've got some fantastic source material helping us out. We're leaning on the brilliant work of Dulce from her YouTube channel, Español con Dulce, specifically her deep dive on Usos del pasado. She just explains these concepts so well, and we're going to pull out the key bits for you. We really want to make these grammar points feel, well, intuitive, not just like rules you memorize. Think of it as building your toolkit for really expressive Spanish. Oh, and here's a great tip. You can actually download a free PDF from Español con Dulce that goes with this topic. The link's right there in the description. It's super helpful for following along and, practicing later.
That's absolutely right. For anyone studying Spanish, getting these past tenses down isn't just about conjugating verbs correctly. It's really fundamental to communicating effectively with nuance. So our goal here isn't just handing you the rules. It's about giving you the context, the sort of subtle differences. And I think most importantly, the intention behind choosing one tense over another. Because when you get the intention, you stop just memorizing charts and you actually start, expressing yourself, choosing the right shade for your story.
Okay, let's grab that first shade then. We're starting with the preterito simple. You might also hear it called the preterito indefinido. Now, if we're thinking about telling stories, this tense is like a really clear snapshot.
Yeah.
Boom, done, finished actions.
Exactly. That's its core job. It tells us about actions that are specific and completely finished in the past. Think of it like a single sharp dot on your timeline. It had a start, it had an end, and it's over. If you can say yesterday at 3 and it's totally done, it's probably simple. It's the what happened tense, finished.
Right, so how do we actually make these snapshots? Well, for air verbs, you'll hear that stressed A sound in the yo form, like hable. Then it goes hablaste, hablo, hablamos, hablaste, hablaron. And for air and air verbs, it's a similar kind of sharp ending, but with a stressed E for yo, like comí. So comí, comiste, comió, comimos, comisteis, comieron. The field patterns are in that PDF. Definitely check it out. But listening for those stressed endings, that really helps you pick it up when you hear it. Don't three examples nail this, like ayer fui al cine. Yesterday, I went to the cinema, one event, over. Or el año pasado, viajamos a España. Last year, we traveled to Spain. Specific trip completed.
Spot on, and that's exactly when you use it. For those punctual actions. Ayer, comí pizza. I ate pizza. A single act. It's done. Not something ongoing, not a habit. Or actions finished at a specific past moment. La semana pasada leí ese libro. I read that book last week. The reading's finished. The book's done. Happened last week. A mistake I often see is students trying to use the simple for something that was actually, ongoing or repeated. If you wouldn't say I did eat in English to describe a habit, you probably need a different tense in Spanish too.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if you're listing things you did yesterday, first this happened, then that happened. Preterito simple is your friend. It gives that clean, step-by-step feel like flipping through photos. Click, click, click. Okay, but what if we want more than just snapshots? What if we want to paint the scene, give some atmosphere? This is where it gets really interesting because the preterito imperfecto comes in. It gives a totally different feel to the past.
That's a great way to put it. The imperfecto, well, it's for describing things that were habitual, like what you used to do, or things that were ongoing, in progress in the past. And crucially, it sets the scene. It gives all that background info, what the weather was doing, how people felt, their age, the general situation. So instead of a dot, think of it like a continuous line maybe, or like the backdrop in a painting. It doesn't just state a fact, it kind of immerses you in that past moment. You feel the atmosphere. It's the what was happening or what used to happen tense, much more descriptive.
And forming it feels, well, almost smoother. For our verbs, you get lots of aba sounds. Abba, 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 abba. Then hablamos, hablabais, hablaban. And for our ear verbs is that ia sound. Comía, comías, comías, comíamos, comíais, comíais, comían. And the great thing, there are only 3 irregular verbs here, ser, ir, and ver. So it's actually pretty regular. Again, check the PDF for the full details. But getting used to those aba and ia sounds is really key for recognition. The TV examples show this so well. Cuando era niña, jugaba en el parque. When I was a child, I used to play. That was a regular thing. Or mientras él leía, yo escuchaba música. While he was reading, I was listening. Actions happening at the same time, in progress.
Mm-hmm. And those examples highlight the main uses perfectly. You've got habitual actions. Cuando era pequeña, siempre visitaba a mis abuelos. I always visited. It was a routine. Then actions that were in progress at a certain time. Ayer, a las 5 de la tarde, llovía. Yesterday at 5 p.m., It was raining. Not just that it rained once, but it was in the process. And like we said, describing context, la casa era grande y estaba muy cerca del río. The house was big, it was near the river, scene setting. A common slip-up here is using the simple for background details. It makes your story sound a bit jumpy, like just facts, not a flowing description.
Yeah, it's really about that descriptive power, isn't it? Setting the scene, giving the mood, the ongoing conditions. It's the background music to your past story. It really lets you paint that picture so your listener can almost be there. All right, let's switch gears again. Now for the pretérito perfecto. This one's fascinating because it connects the past to right now. And this can really mess with your head if you're coming from English because we often just use our simple past.
It definitely can, but its main job, fundamentally, is talking about past actions that still feel connected, somehow, to the present moment. And something really crucial here, especially for you as learners, is the regional difference. This tense is super common in Spain, which is where Dulce is based. But head over to Latin America, and you'll hear the pretérito simple used much more often, even for really recent things. So in Spain, saying comí pizza hoy might even sound a bit weird if it's still daytime, almost like implying today is over already. The perfecto he comido keeps today alive.
That's such a good point about the regional nuance and how it shifts the feeling. Okay, so forming it's a two-parter. You need the verb haber, but conjugated in the present tense. So he, has, ha, hemos, habéis, han. And then you add the past participle of the main verb, that's usually the verb stem, plus ado for ar verbs like hablado, or ado for ar and ir verbs like comido or salido. There are irregulars, of course, but that's the basic pattern. Dulce's examples show this perfectly. Yo he comido pizza hoy. I have eaten pizza today. See, hoy connects it to now, today isn't finished, or he estudiado toda la mañana. She has studied all morning. Again, esta mañana is part of the current ongoing day.
Exactly, and those examples tie right into the when to use it rule. It's for recent actions, yes, but specifically when the action happened in an unfinished time frame. So look for time markers like este mes, this month, esta semana, this week, hoy, today, maybe últimamente, lately. The absolute P is that the time period isn't over yet. That's the trigger, especially in Spain. The trap is always translating I ate as the simple past, when the Spanish context, particularly in Spain, might really need the perfecto because the time frame is still active.
Precisely. That hoy, or esta mañana, just anchors the past action firmly to your present reality. It feels current even though the action itself is done. It's like you can still feel the ripples of it. So yeah, my advice, lean into the perfecto if you're aiming for peninsular Spanish, but be aware you'll hear the simple more in Latin America for similar situations. Okay, last one for today. Let's tackle the pretérito pluscuamperfecto. I like to call it the past of the past. This is your go-to when you're talking about something that happened before something else happened, also in the past. Layered past actions.
That's a perfect description. Its whole purpose is to describe an action that happened before another past action you're already talking about. Imagine telling a story set yesterday, but you need to mention something that happened the day before yesterday. That's where this comes in. It clarifies the sequence. You're essentially stepping back twice in time. Without it, complex timelines can get really muddled.
Right, and forming it is similar again to the perfecto, but with one key change. You still use haber plus the past participle. But this time, haber is in the imperfect tense. Había, 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 sabía. Then you just tack on that same past participle you used before. Dulce provides really clear examples here. Cuando llegué al cine, la película ya había empezado. When I arrived at the cinema, the movie had already started. See, starting happened before arriving. Crystal clear. Another one. Ella me dijo que ya había comido. She told me that she had already eaten. Eating happened before the telling.
And that nails it. It's specifically for showing an action was anterior, happened before, another specific past action, like cuando llegué a casa ya habían salido. When I got home, they had already left. The leaving definitely happened before the arriving. This tense is just indispensable if you want to narrate clearly, especially with more complicated sequences of events. The pitfall is just using two simple tenses, like cuando llegué salieron. That might imply they left when I arrived, or right after, not necessarily before. The pluscuamperfecto removes that ambiguity.
It really is a lifesaver for keeping your timeline straight in more complex stories. Makes it totally clear what happened first. If you really want to level up your Spanish storytelling and make sure people understand the sequence, getting comfortable with the pluscuamperfecto is huge. So, okay, let's pull this all together. What does this actually mean for you, learning Spanish day to day? Let's recap the core idea, the feeling of each tense. The pretérito simple. That's for your single, finished, punctual actions. Bam, done. Your I went, she ate. The snapshots. Then the imperfecto. This is for habits, I used to. Description, setting the scene, ongoing actions in the past. She was eating. The the background, the continuous line, the perfecto. Remember, this is about past actions linked to now, especially in unfinished time periods like today or this week. Your I have eaten, she has done. Very common in Spain. And finally, the pluscuamperfecto, the past of the past, for actions that happened before another past action. Your I had eaten, she had done. Essential for clear timelines.
That's a really neat summary. And it really brings it back to that idea of communicative intent, doesn't it? Knowing when to use each one is just as vital, maybe even more vital than just knowing the endings. So as you're speaking or writing, try to pause and ask yourself, okay, what am I trying to convey here? Is it a finished dot? Am I painting a scene or talking about a habit? Does this past thing still feel connected to right now? Or did one past thing happen even earlier than another? Answering those questions really helps guide you to the right tense, almost naturally.
I really hope that after this deep dive you feel, well, clearer about these crucial Spanish past tenses. This should definitely help you navigate conversations, understand text, and just express yourself with more precision, more confidence. You'll be able to add that depth and clarity you're aiming for.
And maybe here's something to think about as you keep learning. How might getting these subtle differences really unlock your ability to express more complex feelings or, create much more vivid stories, maybe even make more nuanced points when you're speaking or writing Spanish? Start listening out for how native speakers use them. Pay attention in movies, in conversations. You'll start hearing these nuances everywhere, and it just deepens your feel for the language.
Absolutely. Great point. And just one last reminder, our fantastic insights today came from Dulce's Español con Dulce YouTube channel. And seriously, don't forget, you can grab that free PDF she made. The link's in the description. It's a brilliant resource for practice and review. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. Keep exploring Spanish, keep practicing, and we'll catch you next time.